the way that I see it is that everybody is born to know how to fight. You know, everybody, like every human and every animal, they're born to know how to fight, but it's just whether or not their way of fighting is scientific and efficient, that's a different story. But like screaming is a way of fighting, crying, running, punching, kicking, you know, tackling, holding, like elbow, knee, like whatever, like shooting, like grabbing an object and hitting the person, and just whatever.
Throwing an object at a person, that's a fight too. You know?
I mean, everything. It's like your natural instinct to survive. That's basically what I'm talking about. Your natural instincts to survive. Everybody has some instincts, but the science, that's different. And if you understand the science, then that gives you like an edge. Like you just know. You know, just like when you said in one of your comments about the physics, you know, like there's a science, you know, like you put a certain amount of force there, then it's going to come back to you, you know? So if you understand science and then you use that to your advantage, then it pretty much, that will increase your chance of surviving. You know, like essentially weapons, especially the gun, it's science. It's science that they use to create that to get basically give people an advantage in survival. You know, so like that's all it is. You know, and people, they make it seem like it's more complex than it really is. It's not that complex. You know, not at all. You know, like when they talk about this style and that style, it's not even about style. It's not even about like country or culture. When it comes down to like practicality, it's about like the science of it. You know, it's like people, like if you got a gun, you know, and then people be like, it's like asking people like, oh, you know, what style is the gun? Well, it's not even about the style of the gun. It's like, you know, does this gun work? You know, like whatever brand it is, a manufacturer, it's not even about that. It's like, does this gun work? Like, if you want it to work, will it work? You know, so you know what I mean, like when you're defending yourself, all that stuff goes out the window as far as like style is concerned. It's just basically like what you're doing, does it work? And that's how I teach. It's like when we spar, that's your opportunity to make work what you think works. And if you can't get it to work, then that's showing that whatever you're doing is not efficient. And then once you see that with your own eyes through your own experimentation, then you'll get to a better understanding of like practicing what really does work. You know, because no matter if you want to, you know, ground fight, or if you want to do boxing, or you want to do kickboxing, or Thai boxing, or whatever you want to do, like, if you can't get it to work, then you see right there that it's not practical at that moment. But if you had a gun and the other person didn't, and then it's just like, okay, go fight, and then all of a sudden you keep shooting the guy, and there's nothing he could do about it because you keep shooting him, that's like 100% guarantee this is what works. You know? And then you see right before your eyes, and that's the simplest thing. Science was used to simplify. So it's like, you know, rather than doing all this kicking and punching and ground fighting, just shoot the person. And they simplified it with the invention of the firearm. Now you take the firearm away and you don't have any weapons. Now you're talking about like punching and kicking and elbowing and ground fighting, all this other stuff. Now, okay, like figure out for yourself what actually does work. You know, and then through that experimentation, then you start to discover like what is the true efficient way. You know, and not everything will work for everybody. You know, because Somebody just simply might not be flexible. And for them, they cannot get like a high kick to the head to work because they're just not flexible enough, or they're not fit enough, or they're not fast enough. So their conclusion will obviously be high kicks are ineffective.
High kicks doesn't work.
Yeah, because they can't get their body to make it work. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's inefficient for everybody. You know, because everybody's body and their athletic development is a little bit different. Different heights, different sizes, different strength levels, different flexibility, different, speed levels. So what you could get to work with your own body might be a little bit different than the next person. So when people are in my martial arts school, they get the opportunity to test what they think works. Like a lot of times, what I do with beginners is I don't like to show them anything. I just be like, hey, why don't we just do the safe sparring, and then you do what you think works, and I'll do what I do. And then they discover for themselves that, hey, like whatever I think works, it doesn't work against him. So then they start figuring out, let me try to fight the way that you're fighting, so then I can be more efficient than how I am, because what I'm doing just doesn't work. So then they start trying to learn my method. But it doesn't mean that my method is going to be working for them, because if I'm flexible and I'm fast and I can get certain things to work, it doesn't mean that everybody's going to be able to do the same, because everybody's body's built a little bit differently as far as like athletic expression is concerned. But it's not about style when it comes to like self-defense and practicality. It's just about what works. What can you get to work? And really, on a mass scale, in a commercialized context, like, people know about boxing, people know about wrestling, people know about the MMA, but because those sporting industries are bound by rules, people are still they're not really seeing the reality of like real survival combat. They're seeing like a glimpse of the reality, and then they're taking the glimpse to be the truth when it's not. But if like there was like, if people would analyze like the body cameras of like police officers, and then all those deaths, like all those incidents involving death, that would be more realistic, because that is real time on the streets involving real death. Do you understand? Like, there can't be real fighting without real death. So when you see a police officer die on duty and you see that body camera, that's real. When you see a police officer shooting somebody down and killing them, that's real. When you hear about in the news that, hey, this person got out of the car and shot and killed like these 3 people, that's real. When you hear about, this person went into the mall and he shot and killed like 10 people, that's real. But none of that stuff is going to be presented to the public in like a package and saying, hey, here's HD quality and the perfect angles with the editing to see like real death. Like, that's not ever going to happen. You only see like the remake of the situation in like a Hollywood video, and then they start adding all these like these special effects, and the main actor of the movie suddenly is able to dodge like 10,000 bullets. He just never gets shot, and then he kills like 50,000 people, and then he doesn't even get shot one time. It's like the reality of real combat is far from what you see in Hollywood, is far from what you see in combat sport. I mean, it's like really, really like, it's a deadly situation where there's no room for mistakes. And when you analyze the real combat, then that's how you're really going to get efficient, because you're studying what really is like the real stuff. I mean, even if you see fist fights that are taped like on, taped on the streets and then uploaded to YouTube, you see like real street fist fights. A lot of times somebody gets knocked down or knocked out in just like one punch. It's not like this like 12 round like boxing match. You know what I'm saying? So it's like just the fist alone with no gloves, no headgear, no mouth guard, just the fist alone has the potential to like take somebody out in just one hit. You know? Like the real fight ends a lot quicker than what people think when they see when they get so used to watching like combat sport. They end up thinking that like a boxing match is a real fight. That's not a real fight at all. That's just there to entertain you. But when you're an officer and you're dealing with guns, there's no room for mistakes at all. One wrong move will get you killed. Like seriously, and even with the fist fight out there in the streets, one wrong move could could end the fight.
Yeah.
And
one punch can make your head dizzy. Like you can even be knocked out. Like you won't even know what happened.
Yeah, I mean, not just with the fist fight, but even like a knife fight or whatever. I mean, I just read an article this morning, about some college student who just like went into the classroom and started stabbing people, and he killed like 7 people or whatever, and then the police got on scene and shot and killed him. You know what I mean? Like, one person that's wielding a knife is a very dangerous person. And wielding a knife, wielding a gun, so like weapons is extremely dangerous. And like the public, they don't have the proper mentality, the real understanding of how a real fight goes, because they're so focused on entertainment. They're focused on like WrestleMania, college wrestling, boxing, Hollywood movies, cage fighting. Like they're all just variations of a way to entertain you. But none of it is like the real combat and how it really is. And that's why you have to, if you practice martial arts, you have to like conduct your own scientific experiments to discover what really works and what doesn't.
Yeah. Pretty much you have to become your own scientist. And being a scientist, you do research, and when you research, you have to like experiment and everything. You figure out is my theory applicable? If it's not, then this theory, if that theory is not proven to be true, then it's false.
Yeah. But another thing that I want to mention too is that like the Kung Fu in China, they are doing something a lot more efficient and practical than what like a lot of the people do in America. Like Americans, like they study like boxing and combat sport to try to decide what is the most effective way. But the Chinese, what they study? They study the animals. And the animals, that's like the real stuff, man, because that's like when you're watching like 2 animals fighting, they're like fighting to death. If you really analyze their way of fighting, then you'll find the real answers. You know what I'm saying? Because they're really fighting to death. But in America, in the entertainment industry, they're not allowed to fight to death. Everything's controlled and regulated for safety purposes, and then you're not really getting the real picture of what is the true way. But if you study nature, basically if you study nature, you study insects, you study animals, and you see what they got to do to survive, then you'll see the answers. And then you basically learn from that and see like, hey, this is what I got to do to survive. Because animals, they'll all like gang up. I mean, they'll have like 10 lions against like one elephant. You know what I'm saying? Or like, you know.
Like, they're like, oh, so first time to have a fair fight. You know, be like, oh, this elephant's gonna be, I'm not gonna fight you. You know, you should give an elephant that size. So I can have a match like a 3 round.
Yeah, and then you'll see like a lion like against a cheetah. Like a cheetah's like super fast, but the thing is he gets tired quick. You know? So then like the lion would chase after the cheetah, but then eventually sometimes the cheetah loses his energy, and if he doesn't like climb up on a tree quick enough, the lion catches a hold of him and then he's dead. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, so the cheetah, you gotta figure out a more efficient way to escape instead of just running.
Well, they have to fight with intelligence, but I'm just saying like that's almost like the small guy that's really fast, like trying to fight somebody that's strong but not as fast. And then like once the small guy gets tired and the strong guy catches up with him, then he's done.
Yeah, because like the fast guy, once he gets tired, he's not gonna be as fast anymore.
Yeah.
He's gonna be slower than the guy who's not as fast.
Yeah. So then what you do is you study the animals and you be like, you know what? Which animal do I want to resemble? Which animal do I want to fight like? And then it's up to you. Like you can fight like a elephant. You can fight like a cheetah. You can fight like a lion. You can fight like a hyena. You can fight like a pit bull. You know, you can fight like all these different ways of like how these animals are. Or you could just be like more the passive type where you're like a sheep or a goat or like a cow. You know, you don't wanna be aggressive. You just wanna be like a vegetarian. You wanna be like a vegan. You wanna stay away from danger. But then even if you try to stay away from danger, you got some of these predators, which are like the bullies, that want to hurt you anyway. And then you got to see like, well, how does a cow survive against a predator? You know, or a deer. Like a deer is fast, but a deer is peaceful. You know, like the deer they just eat like plants. And they're peaceful animals. But the lions would chase after the deer to try to kill the deers, and you see like how does the deer survive? So then the deer starts running, and then they'll start kicking, or they'll try to like gang up with their friends to fight the lion like all together. You know, and then you'll see the bull, you know. But it's like we're like so far away from nature because we're living in the city, and you don't see any animals around. It's not like you're in Africa and you can watch these animals, you know. But they do have like a lot of documentaries out there where you could study like the lives of these animals. And if anything, I'm really interested in that. Like I'll watch that like all day, but I won't watch like combat sport. You know what I'm saying? But I'll watch the animals, and to me that's like fascinating to see like what they do to survive, you know? And that is like the real way of like understanding scientifically what is the real way to survive. You know? Because if you watch two boxers, you got one boxer that's super strong, another boxer that's super fast, and then you're like, okay, this fast boxer is like, okay, let me use my endurance to my advantage. Let me get this guy tired. Once I get him tired, then he's going to drop his guard, and I'm going to start getting all my licks in. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a strategy. You know, it's like a chess game. It's a strategy, and there's a science behind it. It's like you find out the person's weaknesses, and then you exploit the weaknesses. You know, and that's what animals do too. I mean, you just watch the animals, and like they'll exploit the weaknesses. You know? So, like, I think as a martial artist, you gotta find your own answers, like through your own experimentation. And if you're gonna get any help, then you should study the animals, or you should study like the real street, like video, like real death type of situations, or like fights that happen on the streets where like people are getting killed, people are getting shot, people are getting jumped by multiple people. People are going to the hospital for real. Like, they're not fighting for money and fame. Like, they're just fighting because this is the everyday survival on the streets. If you study that, then that's real stuff. But at the same time, it's still not you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not in the one that's in the video, you know? So it's different. It's still not you. You know what I mean? Like you see a video of people getting a fight in the bar. Well, if you never go to the bar, then how does that apply to you? Because you don't even go to the bar. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you see a police officer getting shot, like when he's trying to write somebody a ticket, well, how does that apply to you? Because you're not a police officer. You're never going to write somebody a ticket. Do you know what I'm saying? Or like you see like a bouncer that's getting jumped by like 10 people. Well, that's still not you because you're not a bouncer and you don't have that type of occupation. So none of it is really going to be like directly associated with you. And because it's not directly associated with you, you got to basically have your own like development and understanding of like your lifestyle and what is most practical for your lifestyle and to survive. Because like just recently I made like one of those scenarios where two people coming into my shop or my school and then they're trying to like murder me with guns. You know what I'm saying? Well, that's relevant to me. If I carry a gun, I can fight back. But how's that relevant to anybody else if they don't carry a gun? You know what I'm saying? It's like the training has to be relevant to you. That's what makes it practical. You know, like, why teach somebody like Taekwondo kicks if he's in a wheelchair? You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't apply to him. He's in a wheelchair. You know? So, you gotta like adjust the training to what's practical for you. And it's what's practical for you is not necessarily practical for everybody else. You know?
Yep.
So, that's the reality of it.
Yeah, because your own body, because you have your own body, and your body's not going to be the same as the other person's body, so you got to figure out what works for you.
You do. I mean, some people, like, they're like super weak and they can't fight for anything. But what they do, they join a gang. And now they got a bunch of friends that are gangbangers that have guns and they're willing to jump you. Now they get power immediately by group association. You understand? So then now you can't mess with them because they got a bunch of friends that are ready to back them up.
True.
You know, so that's another way of survival. And that's what happens in the prisons. You know, like, if you go to prison, you don't know anybody, you don't join any group, then you might be the one that gets raped every day. You know, but if you end up joining a group, the group ends up protecting you. And that's why people are so big into groups, because they want protection. So that's another form of survival. You know, because like a lion is almost like a single martial artist, almost like a Bruce Lee, a Jet Li. Like, I'm my own being, I'm strong, I'm everything, you know. But then, like, the weak person is like, he's like a cow. Like, he might not be as strong as a lion, but then now there's like 500 cows. And they're all like looking at you, one lion, and then the lion ends up having to run away. Because there's 500 cows surrounding him. You know what I'm saying? Or let's not say cow, let's say hyena, because that's for real. Like, the lions and the hyenas had like a big war, you know what I'm saying? Like if there's like 20 hyenas and then there's only one lion, the lion ends up having to run away. You know what I'm saying? So that's almost like the weak person that joins a gang, and then now he gets more powerful than you, even though you're the one that practices martial art and he doesn't. But because he joined the gang, now he has more power than you, because he has association, he has like numbers.
Yeah, not only numbers, he has weapons with him too.
Yeah. You know, so that's another form of survival, man. It's like, you can like train yourself to get to a very high level and then represent yourself, which is like the lion, the tiger. Or you could join a group and be like, oh, you know, be like the hyena where you're not that strong, but because you have so many friends, you're powerful. Or you could be like a martial artist that trains yourself to be powerful, and then you join a group with other martial artists, then you become like a lion pride. You understand?
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, now you got like 20 lions, you know what I'm saying? And then like there's like 50 hyenas, but then there's like 20 of you guys, you can still take them all out, because, you know what I'm saying? Because you guys are so strong, because there's 20 of you, you know?
Yeah.
So there's like 20 lions, they could take down like 5 elephants if they needed to, you know what I'm saying? So that's like martial artists coming together with strength. That's like the lion pride. And then, so you see a lot of similarities between like human survival compared to like animal and nature survival. It's like they're like the real kings of unarmed combat, like for real. The only way that the humans like got, you know, above the other animals is because of their intelligence and the development of like these weapons and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Like these guns and these sniper rifles and everything. Like the animals can't do anything about that. You know, so really like the real way of survival ends up, the real power comes from your intelligence. Actually, it goes beyond the physical. You know. So everybody's always talking about Bruce Lee and how powerful he was, but somebody that's even more powerful is like somebody like Albert Einstein. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like a master of intelligence. You know, Bruce Lee is like a master of the martial arts. Einstein is like the master of intelligence, and then like Jesus and Buddha and Osho like the masters of like the spirit. You know, and that's all like different degrees, different levels of power. You know?
Yeah. It's like, because it's all gritty, then that's real power. You know, if you just got one, you know, the one power is the body, and when the mind and soul is not developed, then you only control, you know, 10% of the power.
Yeah.